Welcome back to the Life Solutions Enough Happiness video series. I'm Angela Bell, founder and president of Life Solutions and the Enough Equation. In the last video, you discovered that happiness is built on a foundation of feeling safe. In this video, I'll teach you the first element of the Enough Equation, which is self-worth. My question for you today is, can you ever feel happy if you feel worthless? Would you agree? Isn't that one of the worst feelings a person can have? Worth and power are what we require to feel safe and happy in life. They're both equal elements of feeling safe. In this video, we'll talk about self-worth, and in the next video, we'll talk about personal power. Consider with me for a moment how safe it feels to feel worthless. I'm asking you to really tune into this. Isn't that one of the most unsafe feelings a human being can ever have? Is a feeling of worthlessness. And it's incredibly destructive. If you feel worthless, do you think your needs will ever be met? Will you ever be loved enough? How good does that feel? Will you ever be financially secure if you're worthless? Can you ever be happy if you're just not good enough? What kind of job can you get? Are you pretty enough? What kind of wife or mother would you be? Will you ever understand why people love you? And will you ever let them love you if you feel worthless? How much self-destruction will you cause in your own life trying to get your needs met because you feel worthless? This is one of the core elements behind all suffering. We simply cannot feel safe when we don't feel good enough. Our body will spring into action and start running programs to gain value, to make us safe. We call these attempts to make us safe by earning or trying to increase our worth a worth grab in the Enough Equation. Here is one way we describe in the Enough Equation program what a worth grab is. It's like a hole in us that says, I'm not good enough. And then we go out and we try and grab things. We try to grab worth to stuff into that hole of I am not good enough. So an easy way to understand what a worth grab is to start a sentence with, I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when I'm thinner. I'll be happy when my husband loves me more. I'll be happy when I know my purpose, when my house is clean, when I have more friends. I'll be happy when I'm good enough for God. I'll be happy when I get more done, when I'm more organized, when I have more money. I'll be happy when I'm perfect. Those are all worth grabs, things that we try to go out and grab and put into that hole, stuff into that hole of I'm not good enough, in hopes that we can fill that hole, in hopes that we can finally feel good enough. So I'll be happy when thoughts really are the same thing as saying I'm not good enough. I'll be good enough when. So if our self-worth doesn't come from the things that we just listed, what we do, what we look like, what other people think of us, then neither does our happiness. Where does your value and worth come from? Imagine with me a beautiful newborn baby. What can a baby do? A baby can fill a diaper, cry, eat every few hours. Do we love them? Do we judge them based on their appearance or what they can do? Babies have value because they exist. We love them because they exist. You have value because you exist. God gave you your worth the moment you existed. You have unlimited worth simply because you exist. You cannot add to it and you cannot take away from it. It's yours. You are good enough. Good enough to feel safe, good enough to be happy. The only problem is embracing that worth. And it freaks you out. It freaks out your ego because you want to control it. You don't want to just receive it, you want to control your worth. You can change some of your experiences. We talked about that 40% of happiness that you can learn to control through your choices in the last video, but you cannot change your worth. You cannot change your value. It came with you. It's a law of the universe. Over the decades of my own life, I've ran worth grab programs. I became a perfectionist. There was a time in my life where I literally wore my body out doing this. My subconscious plan was to try and earn value so I could finally feel safe. I put myself in relationships where I was constantly having to prove that I was good enough. Now, whether I was in those relationships or not, I would have been running that program because I wanted to get there. I wanted to be perfect. I wanted to be the perfect employee, a mom and a wife that never missed anything. My body needed to be in shape, and I had huge to-do lists chucked full of all these worth grabs, of course, every day. I eventually ended up very ill with fibromyalgia, mono, and a whole list of health problems. I couldn't get out of bed for more than an hour a day. I couldn't go to the grocery store, vacuum my own house, take care of my kids. In fact, if I wanted to get out of the house and go somewhere fun, I often needed a wheelchair and someone to push me in order to get around. I was willing to run this program in my relationship because I thought it was going to take me where I wanted to go. I thought it was going to take me to a feeling of good enough. I thought it was going to take me to safety, where I could be happy. Instead, I was laying in bed, running this hamster wheel-like program of all the things I needed to do and that I needed to be good enough, so that I could be good enough to be happy. My subconscious was pushing me to earn more, do more, be more, so you can feel safe. And that approach almost cost me my life. It also gave me my life back. I came to realize the truth that changed my life forever. My worth is set, and everything else is an experience. Your worth is a set point, set as your existence. You cannot increase it or decrease it. You can only change your experience. I have seen this hundreds of times with clients. They come in with many different things that are painful and frustrating for them. Yet when we drill down to the core issue and what's really truly causing them pain in every situation, it has been an Enough Equation program. Whether it's a woman similar to myself, a CEO, a child with ADD, a teenager, a young adult in college, an athlete, the core issue always goes back to the Enough Equation. Their worth and power is off every single time. I had a client who had everything going for her in her life. She had a great marriage, an affluent lifestyle, a loving family, but she was exhausted, stressed out, and full of fear. She came to me and I taught her how to process emotions with several different techniques that we built into the Enough Equation and other programs in Life Solutions. And we worked on some difficult experiences that she had had in her childhood. These had created many of the thought patterns that she was experiencing right now. And those events had never been processed from her body, and they sent a constant signal telling her that she wasn't worth much and therefore she shouldn't feel safe or happy. And after decades of this level of fight or flight, her body was in trouble. And no matter how picture perfect and safe her life actually was, she just couldn't feel it. And her health showed it. So she set aside some time to heal. She came in, we worked together. We set up a team to support her in her goal to heal. One of the things that we put on her team was a maid. However, when the maid showed up every week, my client felt like she needed to get up and do some light cleaning with her. This is a worth grab. Taking care of her home was one of the ways my client earned her value. That made her feel good enough to have this amazing life, good enough for her husband. Well, at least in her mind, not his. Allowing someone else to do the job was completely terrifying, because then what was she gonna do? What was she gonna do to be good enough? What was she gonna do to earn value? She needed that. It felt very unsafe for her to sit back and let the maid do her job. When she learned the Enough Equation and with help applied it, she discovered how she was living. She became aware of her own thoughts and actions. And now she understood the why behind her choices. She could see what was really going on and what it was going to take to truly feel happy in her current circumstance. She was aware of the worth grab trap And she was able to make choices from feeling good enough and safe, even when she didn't feel good enough, even when the old thoughts were running. Now her real life happiness is something she can feel and embrace. She says she feels saved. She now knows her worth is set and everything else is just an experience. This is vital to happiness. My client moved from surviving to happiness. And yet her life wasn't in survival mode, she was in survival mode. And we were able to help her catch up to the wonderful life that she currently had and truly step into it and embrace it and receive it and feel good enough for it. The only thing that changed is that she realized that her childhood was just an experience. It didn't define her, it didn't define her worth. And she stopped trying to be good enough and embraced the fact that she is good enough. You can embrace your worth. You can feel good enough. On the next video, we'll continue the enough equation and learn about personal power and its tremendous effect on your happiness. So I'll see you on the next video.